Okay, good evening, leaders. I take the opportunity to welcome all of you for this Global Leadership Network Masterclass as we continue to engage on how to think global, lead local, transform the world. And I trust that you can hear me well. And maybe we can start just by doing a quick check so that we ensure that we are able to communicate well. So let me do just a quick check for each person, starting with Pastor Elijah. How are you, Pastor Elijah?
I'm good.
Great. Karibu sana, Pastor.
Hello. Asante sana, I'm managing myself.
Karibu. Ann Kibiro, how are you, Ann? Ann, if you can hear me, you can unmute and say hello.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Ann.
I'm well.
Thank you so much, Ann. We can hear you very clear. Let me check also with James. James, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, James. Karibu sana.
Asante. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening. We can hear you clearly. Reverend Kyoko, how are you, Reverend?
I'm fine. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening and welcome, Reverend.
Thank you.
Asante. Florence, how are you?
I'm fine. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, hello and good evening, Florence. Yeah, we can hear you well and welcome. And then I'll check with Ben. Ben, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you, everybody?
Yeah, thank you. We are well, and good evening to you too. Good. So I think that confirms we are communicating, and it's my pleasure just to welcome all of you. I don't know how your week has been. I trust your week has been well. The previous week, you know, it takes a week for us to meet. So if I say your week might have started from last week, around Wednesday to yesterday. So it's our pleasure just to continue engaging with you and just creating this environment where we can be able to sit together and be able to interact and converse on these issues. Very important topic of leadership, a topic that cuts across. And we always say when a leader gets better, everyone gets better. When a leader gets better, personal life improves, the family improves, the community improves, the nation improves, and also the world becomes better. John Maxwell said, everything rises and falls on leadership. And I think that's why it's very, very critical that such conversations are encouraged across board. As we discuss tonight together in this environment, we escalate the same wherever we are, so that these issues are more inscribed in us, and not just in terms of knowledge, but also in terms of impact, in terms of transformation. So it's my pleasure to welcome all of you, and just request that we open with a word of prayer, and then we'll dive straight away to today's discussion as we unpack what we want to discuss. So let's just pray and start the discussions. Father, we are grateful and we thank you for the opportunity, the privilege, and the gift of life. And this night, as we continue to discuss this very important topic of leadership. It's our prayer that, Lord, you will continue to inscribe an inward transformation in each and every one of us so that we can get better and reflect and become a mirror of the leadership that brings glory to you, and the leadership that transforms life, and the leadership, oh God, that is able to shape a better society within our environment. This night, we surrender to you and trust that your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding shall prevail in our discussions. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. So we'll handle the lesson 4. And then in between, we'll have a break just to be able to meet up and just be able to interact with each other briefly. I can see Lucy. I guess that is Lucy. Your hand is raised. Lucy, if there is a question or a comment, please let me know. Infinite Hot. Okay, Lucy, you are saying you are good. So thank you so much and welcome for the session. So as we start our discussions tonight, I have a simple exercise for us. And I just want us to do this exercise together. So let's be set. I'll show you a puzzle. And then from the puzzle, you can indicate on the chart some of the leadership words that you can see, either phrases or words, either qualities or there are different phrases of leadership that you'll see across this. The crossword. Some of them we have tackled in our discussions, and some might just be within the context of leadership. So feel free to just indicate what leadership words are you able to see in this puzzle, and you can indicate on the chart. So last week we looked at these personalities and we were able to describe them, and I think we concluded by saying that the last person there with a question mark, it might be me or it might be you. And I think we have the opportunity now to be able to write our narrative and just to be able to really think about that phrase or that statement that might cross the minds of the people when our photo is flashed, just like the way we did with these personalities here. So let's continue to think about that. Otherwise, this is the leadership challenge. So let's take a minute. And which words can you see? I think the more you're able to type, the better, and maybe the maximum that we can be able to see from this chart or from this crossword. So what leadership words can you see? What leadership words can you see? What leadership words can you see? Just feel free to indicate on the chart. Inspiration, yeah. So Florence, inspiration. Compassion, that is by, wow, compassion, inspiration. Let's continue. We remember the 5 C's, so compassion is there. Remember the 6 I, inspiration is there. So let's keep them rolling. There's 3 more. So we have 2 now, compassion and inspiration. Intelligence, yeah, intelligence. That's part of the 6 I's that we discussed. Let's see. There are quite a number. So let them continue just sharing. So the 6 I's, we have intelligence, inspiration, so 2 out of 6. The 5 C's, you remember the 5 C's? We have competency, we have compassionate, and we have, I think those 2. So we still have about 3 more. Most of them are in this puzzle. Yeah, so Ben, you've given us quite a number: compassionate, inspiration, intelligence, competency. Can take one more, just one more. I'm scrolling just to see competency, conviction. Yeah, so we have conviction, competency, compassion or compassionate. So only 2 are remaining. 2 are remaining. Now, even if it's not in the puzzle, feel free just to indicate the remaining ones, even if they're not in the puzzle. Yeah, conviction. Yeah, so I think just to help us reflect, just to reflect on the journey that we have walked. Thank you, Anne. Integrity. Yeah, so these are the words. There are quite a number of them. Just organize my screen a little bit so that you can see. Yeah, so we had, did you see influence? Impact, influence, impact. There was leadership also. Inspiration, I think most of us were able to see that. Integrity, I think, Anne, you mentioned that. Also, we had intelligence, integration, competency, and clarity. And then there was the word vision, conviction, compassionate, and character. Yeah. So to reflect and refreshen up. So we are looking today, lesson 4. We start with lesson 4 in our leadership manual, Becoming a Global Leader, page 21. Page 21. So we look at the core 4 leadership skills. Today, this will be more of a highlight because later on we'll be able to get into more details. But the first one, we look at it in more details, that is self-awareness. Communication, will still unpack it towards the end. Influence, this is integrated in our discussion. And then learning agility, we'll still discuss it later on when we'll be talking about personal development and growth. So the Center for Creative Leadership highlighted these 4 main leadership skills, starting with self-awareness, because this is where every growth starts. Start from being able to know what I possess, who I have, the capability that I have, and then I'm able now to leverage on that. So understanding our own behavior, and also probably at an organizational level. And then we look at communication, how to communicate effectively, influence, how to be comfortable persuading, promoting, or even delegating, and then learning agility. Basically, knowing when to change course and also to be able to help others. So we'll unpack this briefly, starting with the first one, self-awareness. Yeah, there's that kit there, the kitten there, and it's looking at itself, and you can see what it's seeing in the mirror. So probably if we look at a mirror, what do we see in terms of our own personal self-awareness? Do we see someone bigger than probably our own assumption, or even probably what others may have said about us? What kind of a reflection do we see? So self-awareness is the first step to self-improvement. Yes, self-awareness is the first step to self-improvement. So every growth starts from this point of self-awareness. And there are different ways that we're able to walk through this journey of self-awareness. So being aware of our different aspects, including probably the traits, the behavior, the feelings, the personality. We'll talk a little bit about personality and also the capabilities. So this is the first step, or the first common component of self-development, also self-concept, having a concept about myself. And this is where now issues of identity and issues of purpose become more clearer as we get to develop our self-awareness. So in terms of personal development, or basically in terms of just growing ourselves, we see that self-awareness comes in handy, the self-knowledge, the issues of identity, probably even knowing my talents, my potential, and also the dreams and the aspirations. Those are part of the ingredients of a more aware leader or even a person. So in self-awareness, basically here we look at understanding my personal values and also the strengths over the weaknesses. We look at that through the SWOT analysis, and then how to explore one's passion. So personal values, what are my personal values? And then the strength, we look at the strength. And again, what am I inclined more to in terms of what keeps me alive, what drives me, what makes me come alive when I'm engaging in such an activity or such a discussions. So self-awareness, the first point is normally just to be able to undertake an appraisal of your own strengths and weaknesses. That self-awareness, we are saying, is a critical for long-term effectiveness as a leader. So personal SWOT analysis is able to guide us to be able to identify. We know the SWOT analysis. Basically, we say here we are looking at the strength. We're also looking at the weaknesses, areas that we need probably to either improve or probably to delegate, and then opportunities and threats. So the SWOT will be able to aid us in terms of better understanding how to tap into our strengths and also probably manage our weaknesses, or as I said, maybe see how to handle them if they are on the extreme, and maybe they may not significantly impact our strength. Then we see areas that we need to delegate. So this will also help us uncover opportunities for growth and look at how do we eliminate threats that could keep us from moving forward. So SWOT analysis is the first tool that we can apply in terms of self-awareness. And for the strength, you can take a trail, probably ranging from education, from skills, from talents, the giftings, those inherent qualities or capabilities, and also the network is part of the strength. And we always indicate that if you are operating in your area of strength, even with a little effort, you will be able to get maximum return. And if you can recall, we had such a discussion last time, and we were saying that you can use 20% of input to be able to get 80% of output, or 20% of effort to be able to get 80% of output. Basically, that means you are able to leverage and you're operating in an area of your strength. So for the weaknesses, it might be some negative habits. It might be maybe an attitude. It might be personality traits. And if you're operating, or someone who is operating in their area of weakness, then they use more strength to be able to get little output. So 20% input gives 80% input gives 20% output. There's struggle there, there's friction there. And this is where now life becomes really a struggle, because this is not really the part of you that you're passionate about, the part of you that you feel it's inherent. So we look at what are there areas of weakness that can be converted in strength? Are there areas that we need to probably manage them or even substitute them if they are not issues relating to habits or attitude or even personality traits, because these are so personal, and sometimes it might be hard to delegate those areas. So the only way is to see how do you work around them. Then for the opportunities are external. So we look at the trends, growth. We look probably nowadays, we are talking about technology, the advancement, and also network and collaboration. And I think this is what is coming in handy in this masterclass, where we are able just to create a network to be able to network and collaborate. Then for the threats, these are also external. Might be an issue of competition, especially if you are in the industry. It might be also technological advancement are coming both with challenges and opportunities. So it can be a threat and it can be an opportunity. So as we undertake a strategic analysis, you look at the internal, the strength, build on them or enhance them or grow in those particular areas. For the weaknesses, see how to resolve, how to reduce, how to manage, or even how to convert. How about the external, where we have the opportunities and threats? For the opportunities, exploit, maximize, expand, tap into the opportunities. How about the threats? We look at how do we deal with them. Maybe do we need to avoid this? Do we need to strategize on how to manage it? So we are able to look at how to deal with the threat so that it doesn't really impact on our growth. So basically, this is a very simplified and a high level presentation in terms of a SWOT analysis. And we'll have an exercise on this as we take a break during the week. So we'll have a challenge just to be able to take some time, think about our strength, think about our weaknesses, maybe the areas that we need to improve on or just to manage, and also look at the opportunities as a person or even as an organization. So I think we need to think of this in two ways, either at a personal level or at an organizational level, or maybe if you're serving somewhere, it might be in a church, also maybe within the environment or the section that you are serving. So this can apply across board. Okay, so the second that I want us to look at is personality type. And we look at this personality type just to be able to give us a hint in terms of the different personality types, in terms of colors. And we'll talk about the 4 dominant colors. That's the blue, the green, the yellow, and the red. And this is good for your personal awareness and also to understand the people that you are leading and the people that you are working with. And that will give us some upper hand in terms of how to relate and deal with the people across board. Because now we'll be doing this from a point of knowledge and also a point of awareness. This is a red, and this is how reds are, and this is their strength, and this is maybe the area of weakness, and this is how I need to relate with a red. From amongst us, is there anybody of us who knows his or her personality color? Is there anybody who knows his or her personality color? If you are blue or a green or a yellow or a red, probably you have undertaken this exercise in another setup and you know your personality color. Is there anybody? Is there anybody before I dive into the session? Wow. Okay, so then we are in the good space, because by the time I'll be concluding, each of us will have an idea. You might not, one color might be dominant, but you might also have a mix of the colors. So it's just an indication. It's not really a boxing kind of a mindset, but just to be able to give us some indication. And it will come clear. Look at your own characteristics, and you'll be able to see where you are more inclined to. So these are some of the qualities of these colors. For example, if you are a blue, this is the kind of language you'll hear from a blue. Let's do it right. How about red? Let's do it now. For the yellow, let's do it together. And then for the green, let's do it in a caring way. So where do you fall there? Think about your colors. So as we unpack it, a yellow is more of a caregiver. Blue is adventurous. Green is very analytical and also compassionate. Red is aggressive. Yeah. Again, if we get more deep on this for the red, it's about doing it now. So they're more of, we need to take an action. And for red, the more you're discussing, the more they feel like we are wasting time. Because they're more action oriented. Something should have been done by now. That's the kind of a language of a red. So that they're more of action oriented. They're more of getting it started as quickly as possible as we mix them now as we move towards the yellow. The yellow is doing it together, more of a team player. And they like being understood, understanding me. They always want to be understood. They always want to come out, and they're more flowery. They need to shine. Yeah. So for the green, they need a lot of agreement, getting agreement, doing it in a kind way, understanding others. For the blue, as we get into the in between the blue and the green, that's doing it carefully. And then now the blue will be more focused on doing it correctly, understanding how to adapt and connect. So I hope you can be able to see some of the qualities that are coming out from your own personality. So for the red, we call them fiery red. They can be competitive, can be demanding, determined. That's a positive. Some of these qualities actually can be positive, depending on how we look at them. Strong-willed and purposeful. The yellow, we call them the sunshine yellow. Social, dynamic, demonstrative, very enthusiastic, and persuasive. A yellow will always persuade you. Even if you are not ready to go for a party, they'll make sure you join the party. For the green, the earth green, caring, encouraging, sharing, patient, and also relaxed. The cool blue, they're cool, so cautious, precise, very deliberate, and also they question and they are formal. A blue will always probably want to be in a suit, just to be very presentable. So if we look at some of the strengths and weaknesses, for the blue, they're very detailed, they're accountable, they're thinkers, they're planners. Weaknesses, they can be perfectionist. They want to start when every light is green. Inflexible, they can be indecisive, and also probably they can be mean in a way. How about the red? The strengths, ambitious, confident, daring, disciplined. The weaknesses, they can be demanding, probably controlling. They can intimidate. Sometimes they can be irritable and also impatient because they are more action oriented. For the green, strength, compassionate, team player, loyal, and that they comply. Weaknesses, they can be exploited, they can be sluggish, and also compromise, and also sometimes stubborn. Yellow, we have, they are full of energy, they're lively, they take risks, and also they inspire, they're very social. Weakness, they can be undisciplined, they can be careless in a way. We always say, please, if you give a yellow an original document, you need to be very careful because for them, they're very outgoing, and sometimes, as we indicated in their weaknesses, they can be careless in a way. And also they talk. A yellow will be in a forum, and he will be there just to be able to inspire and tell a story as much as they can. So finally, as we look at the personality type, we are saying the cool blue, the introversion and thinking. So if you look at them, they are calm, under pressure, they're thoughtful and also objective. Fiery red, they are extroversion also, and thinking is high in terms of activity. They can work with others, being logical and focusing on facts. And then the greens are more of introversion and feeling. Yeah, so they like harmony and consensus. And then for the yellow, they also extroversion and also the flow with feeling. Yeah, very social, consideration for others, and action oriented, and they like to entertain. So how about if you are in a lift? How will these colors react? Think about you are in a lift. For a blue, so they will want to mentally calculate the combined weight of all passengers, and compares to maximum posted weight restriction, may wait for the next elevator. So the blue will be looking at how many people are we in here and what is the capacity. So they'll be very observant and very careful and into so much details. How about the red? A red goes straight into the elevator and presses the button. Yeah, and not just once, a number of times. If a red wants the lift to close, he or she will not press one. He press a number of times. So that's a red. A green will actually use the open door button to help others get in. So are you the person who is out there holding the open door button, or even inside, but your finger is still on the open button, ushering people to be able to come in? And that's why we said green is a team player. How about a yellow? We sees the elevator as a great opportunity to catch up and chat with people. May hold open door to finish conversation with the people who get off on other floors. Yeah, a yellow will, the conversation has to end. So they might delay everybody else to make sure the conversation is done. So who are you? Which is one of the dominant color? I said it, you might be a mix, but probably one color will come out clearly as a dominant color. And maybe I'll pause here and just allow you to share on the chat which dominant color represents your qualities or represent your personality trait. Dominant color. I want to see who do we have in this class. So just share on the chat. Just share on the chat. Even if you don't give details, just indicate the color. And then we'll confirm that during the retreats, during the team buildings exercise. We want just to see how are these colors again coming out during the team building experience. So share on the chat. The personality color, which is your dominant personality color. Yeah, Pastor Elijah, you're saying green. So if you're in a lift, you will really open the door for everyone to get in. Yeah, team player. Let me see the rest. So we have a green. We also have a green, Florence. And let me see the rest. Then we have Ben, you're saying green, blue a bit. So I think dominant there will again be green. Anne, wow. More of a yellow, more of a yellow. Thank you, Anne. I think when we'll be having the icebreakers, then we'll be having Anne on board just to be able to create that social environment. Then we have a blue. Lucy, you're saying a blue. Reverend Kyoko, green and a bit of blue. So green, a majority. Green, a majority. And then we have blue. We only have one yellow. Wow. So that gives us just some indication. And this will help us just to be able to see how to position. There are times you have an activity and this activity needs a red, because this is something that has to be taken almost instantly. Just think about this period of COVID-19 pandemic. It has been more of thinking on our feet. So you require to balance. As much as we want to get statistics, we want to get facts, but we also need someone who will be thinking on the floor as they act. So probably a red probably will be able to act more better in this kind of a scenario. But again, the others will be on the background to make sure that a red again is well informed in terms of the action they take. So that's to give us an indication. I think for the 4 temperaments, I may not really take so much time on this because I think we have heard about this quite a number of times. The sanguine, these are highly talkative. Probably the yellows again will rhyme with this. Enthusiastic, active, and social. I think that's a yellow, basically. So they tend to be more extroverted and enjoy being part of a crowd. They find that being social, outgoing, charismatic, they're easy to probably just work together and accomplish a task. They have hard time doing nothing and engage in more risk-taking behavior. And I think those qualities, we're still getting more details just to be able to understand ourselves more. So that's a yellow. How about choleric? More extroverted and short-tempered. They're independent, decisive, goal-oriented, and ambitious. They are results-oriented, which makes them natural leaders. So if we are to compare this with the colors, choleric will be which color? Which color will this be? I think for the sanguine, that's clear, it's a yellow. How about for choleric? Which color could that be? Someone help us there. So they're extroverted and short-tempered, they're independent, decisive, goal-oriented, and ambitious. They're results-oriented, which makes them natural leaders. So which equivalent color could that be? Which equivalent color could that be? Yeah, Anne, you're saying red. Are we in agreement? Is a red? Maybe someone can just agree with Anne. Yeah, I think we agree. That is red. That's red. Melancholic, they are analytical, detail-oriented, deep thinkers and feelers. They're introverted and they try to avoid being singled out in a crowd. They're self-reliant, thoughtful, reserved, and very anxious. So they often strive for perfection within themselves and their surroundings, which leads to tidy and detailed oriented behavior. I think we can know that who that is in terms of the personality color, the equivalent color. Melancholic. The equivalent color is which one? That's more, it's a little bit clear from my end. I hope also the same from your end. So which one can that be? Just to confirm that what I'm thinking is in line with what you've also noticed in terms of the personality colors. So the equivalent for melancholic, yeah, it's a blue. Oh, it's a blue, it's a yellow. Rev Kyoko, you're saying it's a yellow. Ben, you're saying it's a blue. Someone help us just to untie this. Someone help us with one more reaction, so that we can decide. I think it's a blue. We can agree that. Last one, phlegmatic. They tend to be relaxed, peaceful, quiet, and easygoing. They are sympathetic, care about others. I think we know that. That is a green. So those are personality colors, and that is the first core leadership skill is self-awareness. Self-awareness. Either it might be in terms of the temperament, it might be in terms of the personality colors, it might be in terms of the SWOT analysis. And also we'll do another online test, which will also be able to help us just to be able to really get a very, a deeper understanding of ourselves, because that is where the growth starts. So we'll be able to look at that in more details. The second core leadership skill is communication. And I think from the beginning, I indicated that a number of studies have indicated that leadership or the issues of communication is an area of concern. So there's one study that indicated this question was posted to some CEO. What are the leadership needs in your organization? And leaders who communicate effectively was highlighted out as one of the needs in organizations. Again, I think we will be looking at this in more details as we continue. So basically, we are saying when we're talking about communication, it's about communicating information and ideas effectively. And this is rated amongst the most important skills for leaders who are successful. So for a leader to be successful, then this component really needs to be very well enhanced. Why? Because a leader will capture vision, but will require a team to be able to work with him or her. And therefore, how I sell the vision becomes really one of the major success factor. So communication is key, especially in participative, collaborative, and also relational leadership. Yeah, because it's about dealing with the people. Issues of emotional and social intelligence, they play a big role when it comes to effective communication. So, and this ranges from, it can be writing, it can be speaking, it can be listening. All these are part of the equation when you're discussing issues of communication. And also encouraging discussion, it's more of inclusivity, in more of trust, and how we're able to be very strategic in our intent and our communication. So John Maxwell has talked about quite a lot about this topic of communication, and he says that everyone communicates, but few are able to connect. So it's about connecting with the people. Might say much, but I think the final question is, did I really connect? Did I connect with my audience? Did they understand the key message that I wanted to pass across? So people may hear your words, but they feel your attitude. And Stephen Covey, he says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So seeking really understanding is able to affirm the other person and what they have to say. It's a way of affirming. So seek first to understand, not to reply. Seek first to understand. Understand the perspective of that person before I can be able to prepare my response. So communication is a core, and I will be able to discuss that in more details. And then we have influence. So this is very important. And someone said that this is Ken Blanchard. The key to successful leadership today is influence, not authority. I've seen in many cases, you might be given a position, but getting the permission to lead is another task. There are times, either at an organization level or whatever scenario you are leading, someone will be assigned a role. Someone will be assigned into a position or elevated to a particular position. But again, now, that getting the acceptance and the permission to lead the people. That has to be one of the key qualities of an influential leader. So influence is about working effectively with the people, which requires ability to sometimes to be very logical and also have compelling arguments, have give and take, and as I said, to be able to share, build alignment, build commitment. This is all aspects that are relating to influence. So influence is more focused more on steering long-range vision and goals through inspiration and motivation. Remember that word, it is through influence in terms of leadership is through inspiration and motivation. So when you be unpacking the leadership, redefining leadership, we look at this in details. How do you influence? But as per now, it's about inspiration, it's about motivation. It can also be about productivity, amongst other qualities. So we can influence through logical appeals, emotional appeals, and also cooperative appeals. And then finally, the core 4 leadership skills, the final one is learning agility, a leader's ability to be constantly in a learning mode. Say leaders are perpetual learners. So that ability to be active in terms of learning, which comes with recognizing new behavior, skills, or attitudes that are needed, and accepting responsibility to be able to make shifts, and also to be able to grow. So learning agility involves learning from mistakes, learning from questions, from feedback, from environments like a setup that we are having now, picking up a new skill, taking advantage of opportunities to learn, or responding well to particular situations. So learning agility is core, and it involves creating an environment where people are able to learn and develop and be able to grow. Learning agility calls for creating a culture of learning and inspiring others to be able to do the same. I looked at one of the studies and they were indicating why most programs, it can be a leadership program or any other program, are not effective in a way, or they don't achieve maximum impact. And they were indicating is that most programs are more of event focused rather than a culture. Some of the transformational programs are more enshrined into our daily activities. It's actually a culture, not just an event, but it's a culture that we have embedded in our organizations. So that probably if you're talking about team building, are there setups that are able to provide this? Are there cafeterias? Are there environments where people are able to continuously be in a team building environment? Some of the organizations, the global companies are doing this quite well. I've studied a little bit about Google and about Facebook and how they're able to incorporate these aspects, even in the setups, so that people are constantly learning, constantly being innovative, constantly team building, so that it's more of a culture. It's not an event. Yeah, you see, in many cases, organization will take people out for a team building event. That might not really be have much impact. These are issues that need to be more embedded, and maybe as you're going out, just to reinforce what is already going on within the organization. So leaders, that brings us to the end of this lesson 4, about the 4 core leadership skills. And we have looked at self-awareness, we've looked at communication, we've looked at influence, and finally we have looked at learning agility. And for the challenge that we'll undertake this week is to be able just to undertake your own personal leadership SWOT analysis and identify some areas for improvement. So I will share again the self-reflection link. And I think I just want to reemphasize that it's very important to undertake the self-awareness or self-reflection exercise, because the leadership challenge are in those links. So if we really have to maximally benefit from the program, please let's just take a minute just to be able to walk through that link, give your feedback, and also undertake the leadership challenge. So I'll want us to pause here for about 10 minutes, so that we can be able to reflect on what we have discussed. What is your takeaway? What is the key message that you can pick from this discussion that we have had tonight? So the two exercises that we'll undertake in our groups, one is the key takeaway from this discussion, and two, what was the main message from the book review? So we can be able to pick a few, maybe 3 lessons or 3 aspects that came out clearly from the book review. Let's share in the groups. And I think this is also very important because if we are prepared, we did our assignment, we did our book review, it makes the discussions very enriching, and also we are able to equally participate. So let's take some 10 minutes just to be able to reflect on those 2 areas, and then we'll be able to come back and continue. Are we good up to there? Just confirm we are okay. Can give me a thumbs up. Wow, thank you. Can see we are okay. So I'll just create. Okay, let me see if we can have, so that we are able to discuss well. Maybe we can have 3 groups. Let's see how many we shall be. Okay, we'll have 2 groups. Just have 2 groups. As usual, when you get to a group, just get into the discussions. What are the key highlights of the discussions tonight? What are the takeaways? Then we'll also look at what was the main message from the book review. And then within the 10 minutes, we'll be able to come back and conclude with a final lesson for tonight. So please feel free to join the chat room, and then we can start the discussions. Yeah, welcome back, leaders. So we'll just take another 4 or so minutes just to listen through the discussions that you had. So we'll start with room 1, and just invite room 1. I can proceed and just share how the conversation went. So
I'm not sure whether you are in room 1 or please confirm this, James.
Room
yeah, James,
which group was that?
room 1. Yeah, you are right. So James, you can proceed. That's room 1. You can unmute, James, and proceed. Hello, room 1. Room 1, we had Pastor Elijah, Florence, Lucy, and James.
Hello. Sorry about that. I received a call, so I got disconnected. Madam, it's our group presenting.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. So basically, what is coming out strongly is on self-awareness, just being able to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And then thankfully, I think everybody's just shared on how they're able to discover their different personalities. I think we had everybody mentioning their color. That came out very well. Was widely talked about. Basically, how you're able to talk with clarity or communicate with clarity, so that people learn agility, that is being able to continuously be on the learning mode and improving yourself. Then on the book review, what came out, basically how to stay equipped and also on the right track. And also what came out is that we are what we think that we are. Attitude was mentioned widely, that as a leader, your attitude matters a lot. It is what drives you, and the right attitude will also drive you in the right direction. And as leaders, we also create visions, and while managers work for goals. That's leaders also inspire that kind of attitude. So basically, that's what came out from our group, group 1.
Thank you, Room 1, and thank you, James, for representing the team. We'll move on to Room 2, where we had Anne, Ben, and Reverend Kyoko.
Okay, good evening. I'm Ben, and I represent that group. And is that we have discussed and we have just gone through gone and found out that such leaders, we need to, what is inside us is not about what we hear from people. For us to actually lead others, we need to actually first understand what the person, whatever the person is doing, is it right or wrong? We need to get out of our comfort zone, yeah, and put others before us and understand them first and think about it. And also about the attitude. The attitude was also mentioned, as our brother has said. We have talked about the attitude. We need to have a right attitude towards everything we do. And also faith, because I think somewhere we read about faith, and we were given examples of people like Noah, who did things, but just because God told them to do, because something is happening, like Moses, he was told to lead them how it is. So we have to talk level of our lives. And then about the differences between the leaders and the managers. These ones, I think we have to go through them again so that we distinguish them. So I think that one, everybody said we need to go and read them again and also add what we have. And then about today's lesson 4, the course of leadership, we have talked about self-awareness. And what came out is that understand again ourselves, because unless you know yourself, there is no way you can communicate to others. Yeah, we need to check we are being told about the traits, the behaviors, and the feelings, so that if you know about yourself and the way you can talk and your behavior, you can communicate to people so well without misleading them, and without understanding them. And then after we also learned about the influence. If you understand yourself and you communicate well, I think you can influence your group or the people you are leading, so that they can know their way out of the certain things or the way they need to do some things. And then about the learning agility is, Pastor Kyoko has told us, is to continue to learn. Yeah, you should continue learning or knowing more about things. I think That's what I have to say. If there is anything, my group can add something if there's time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Room 2. Thank you, Ben, for standing in for the team. Yeah, so I agree for leaders vis-a-vis managers. There is a topic that will be handled next week, lesson 6. So that will ground this discussion, and we'll be able to have more interaction. So I think that gives us a highlight on what we have experienced tonight. And I think let's continue digesting, just unpacking this information as we also move on with the other lesson. So I just want us to conclude tonight's session by looking at lesson 5. Lesson 5 is also a very important lesson. Basically, level 1 is just to help us to be more grounded, just to help us appreciate ourselves and understand ourselves, understand our leadership types, our leadership styles, which will be coming again later on. So just trying to really focus so much on ourselves as we also think about the people that we are leading. So I will share a link by tomorrow. I'll share this link. You'll follow this link. It will take you to a page where you'll respond to a few questions, and then it will give you a highlight of your personalities. Again, in more details, please read through, and then we'll share next week what came out from the test. Now, I just want us to look at lesson 5. Lesson 5. This will be our conclusion for tonight, and we'll look at 3 types of learning loops. 3 types of learning loops. This is still part of self-awareness. So in terms of my learning, how is my learning qualities and the approach? So we'll also look at the different leaders and how they are aligned to these learning loops. Basically, the style of learning. How do we learn? And I think by the time I conclude this will be much clear. So to help us unpack this lesson, there's a diagram there. I don't know how many squares you can see in that diagram. Just to help us to be able to unpack this lesson. How many squares can you see in that diagram? Just take some 10 seconds or so. Yeah, 24. Yeah, Lucy, you're saying you can see 24. Let me see someone else. How many? Ben, you're saying 25. I can take maybe 2 more. 24, 25 is a difference of 1. Can take 2 more. And then I'll move on with the discussions. So we have 24, we have 25, we have 32. Wow. Coincidentally, James and Reverend Kyoko, 32. Let's see. So I think this is about details. You can see the sequence there, and the total is 40. I think someone also mentioned 32, Pastor Elijah. So actually the total is 40. The total is 40, but I think the most important here is just to see the process, how they are able to unpack this systematically. And this is what we're going to look at tonight as we look at the learning loops. So this was a discussion that was held in 2012 during a summit that focused on 3 categories of learning loops at Federal Health Futures Leadership Summit. That was 2012. So they came up with these three types of learning loops for either for leaders or across. It applies to anybody. So the first category is what we call single loop learning. And for single loop learning is about following the rules. So if I'm a single loop learner, in most cases, I'll focus at what I'm expected to do. And then I'll take the action and undertake the whatever I'm supposed to do. If I'm a double loop learning or double loop learner, it's about changing the rules. So I'll move a little bit, one more step, and I'll want to know how. Beside the what I'm supposed to do, then the second question will be, how do I undertake that activity? And even take it much, upscaling it much higher. We have triple loop learning, which is about learning how to learn. And this is now where issue of agility also comes in. And for triple loop learning, the single word here is not just what, how, but I'll be asking why. So single loop learning is more about what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to learn. Double loop learning is about how, and then triple loop is about why. So let's unpack this a little bit further. For the single loop learning, it's about doing things better without necessarily examining or even questioning or challenging the beliefs or even the assumptions. So it doesn't really get into the root cause, looks at the service. And what is the common language for a single loop learner or a single loop leader? Are we doing things right? Here is what to do. You see the what to do. And these are the procedures or rules. So it's very closed kind of a learning or environment or discussion. So there's no much room for engagement. So a single loop learning basically focuses on just being on point and knowing what I should be doing and if I'm doing it right. How about for the double loop learning? So here is where we change the way we make decisions and even deepen understanding of our assumptions. It's more inquisitive. The language here is, are we doing the right things? So we are not just asking if this is the right thing, but we want to question, are we doing the right things? It's not just this is how you should do things, but is it the right thing? That's the thinking of double loop learning. And then here is how this should work or how this works. These are the insights and patterns. Now you can you can note the language there. We've gone a step higher. These are insights. These are patterns. So we're able to look at the trends and be able to look at what is the message that beyond the obvious message, what else can we pick? How about for the triple loop learning? So this is where now we start looking critically at issues of culture, issues of value, issues of principle, and we start questioning them, start just to look at those fundamental part of a leader or an organization. So the relationship between organizational structure and behavior is fundamentally changed because the organization learns how to learn, and also learns how to unlearn. Yeah, and the common language is, how do we decide what is right? How do we decide what is right? Here is why we want to be doing this, and these are the principles. These are the values. Yeah, so triple loop learning really gets into the root cause. So if you're dealing with an issue, we will not just look at the surface, at the obvious, but we want to go down. Probably it's a culture-related issue. Probably it's the values. Probably it's our principles that are leading us to the results that we are getting. So we really want to get into the root cause. So the characteristics of learning loops, you're saying triple loop learning is transformational. So it focuses on the context. It's transformational. It can also be disruptive. it's more of it revolutionized the entire environment. So it's really one word we can say it's transformational. Double loop learning is concerned on reframing, focuses on frames, structure. So it's more of evolutionary. So we build and just reframe whatever we are working on. Then for the single loop learning is reactionary. So it takes or it focuses on actions. Yeah, it focuses on action. So those are some of the characteristics of these three types of learning loops. And where can we apply this? One of the areas that we can apply this is in problem solving techniques, where we're able to really get into the deeper part of the problem so that we question and see if we can get to the root cause and the underlying factors. And one of the problem solving techniques that I want us to look at is what we call the cause and effect of Fishbone, which provides a tool to identify maybe all possible causes of a problem, not just the obvious ones. So not just the what or the how the problem is happening, but the why this problem is recurring or why is it happening. So this seeks to locate the root of the problem by following a systematic perspective rather than having just a high level thinking about the problem. So the root cause analysis will answer some of the questions like what happened, how did it happen, and why did it happen. You can see the why and what solution can be developed. So the cause and effect, the Fishbone, this is how we apply it. So we'll put the problem at the mouth of the Fishbone, and then we'll have the causes, cause 1 and sub causes. We'll have cause 2 and also sub causes, cause 3, and then, so those are the main causes and then the sub causes. And this will really help us to get into so much details until we uncover some of those hidden causes that we would have missed just by looking at probably from a single loop learning perspective. So an example is someone came late for work. What happened? Might be a people issue. Maybe the children, the person was preparing children, or the person was demotivated, or probably even the person was just lazy or tired. It might be machine issue. Maybe the alarm clock broke down, or the train, there was a delay, or the car broke down. It might be an environment. Probably it was raining, there was traffic jam. So you see now we are unpacking. We have the main cause and then the sub causes. So this is one way of how we can apply that, just to be able to get to the root cause. And then the other problem solving techniques is the 5 whys, the 5 whys. So you ask why 5 times. So we define the problem. Why is it happening for the first time? Why is that? Why is that? Until we get to why is that the 5th time? And that probably will give us the root cause. As an example that is given here is someone read through a red light. So it's very easy to judge that person, but we may want to know why is the person doing that. So the first why will be probably the person was late for work. Why? He woke up late. Maybe the alarm clock broke down, or the person didn't set it, or didn't check if it's functioning. So from just that single act, we are able to get into more details. This is very important for leadership, because there are times we encounter people with challenges at our work environment. And maybe we might make a quick assumption, a quick decision, but probably if we had taken time to just be able to unpack the issue, try to get to the root cause, we might end up realizing the person who was supposed to be disciplined should actually be taken care of. Maybe there are some underlying factors that requires attention. So this is important, and because leadership is all about people, it's all about how we relate with people, how we are. The focus of a leader is the people. And I think just trying to walk through this becomes very important. So based on these learning loops, we can categorize, or we can have 3 levels of leadership. So the first is what we call the what leader, and then we have the how leader and the why leader. So the what leader is more of reactionary, focus on performing, is task-oriented, focus on doing things right, not necessarily what is right, follows rules, is static, is more of a manager. How about the how leader? Is reformative, takes time to strategize, is process-driven, not just task-driven, focus on deciding how to do things right, can change rules, and also is normative or structured. And this is still also more of a manager, as we'll be seeing next week. And then we have the why level of a leader. This more visionary or proactive leader. Is vision-driven, purpose-driven, grounded on values, principles, and culture. Is transformative. Focus on deciding why to do things right. Creates rules. Can be disruptive, interruptive, dynamic, and also adaptive. And is really a leader. Is really a leader. Is more inclined to a leader rather than a manager, as we have seen from the other 2 cases. So from the learning loops, we can be able to walk this journey, be able to categorize the leaders, just to be able to understand. Maybe I understand myself, and I'm also able to understand within my environment, the people that I'm working with, the other leaders that I'm working with, so that this builds a relationship, and also just being able to know how do we handle the people that I'm working with and the fellow leaders that I'm working with. So I hope leaders, this gives us just a highlight view of this kind of the 3 types of learning loops. And also just think about yourself as part of the leadership challenge. Critically evaluate your learning styles and identify which category do you fit in. Are you a triple loop learner? Are you a double loop learner? Or are you a single loop learner? And I think the main thing is, how do we continue to grow? We've talked about agility. So suggest and commit some ways just to be able to improve on our learning style. Because I think, as I said, and as we'll be discussing tomorrow, one of the challenges that we have in our environment is that we have few leaders and we have probably more managers. It's good to have managers, we appreciate, but I think in terms of long-term thinking, in terms of people, being people-driven, in terms of vision-driven, then we need to cultivate and grow more leaders within our environment. So take some time to think about this. I'll share it on the chat, and then we'll be able to see how do we move on and how do we continue becoming better. So I'll pause there for tonight, and I just appreciate you for getting some time just to be able to interact and converse about this topic of leadership and continue enhancing our leadership. So I hope you have your takeaway from lesson 5. What is your takeaway from lesson 5? We may not have time to share, but just think about it. One thing that you can run with as you undertake the challenge, what other one thing that are you able to undertake? Remember that we encourage that whatever we are learning, if we have an opportunity to share with other people, please do so. That will help us to be able to grow and change together with the people that we are leading. So I want to pause there for tonight. Is there any comment? Is there any clarification? Any suggestion as we close? Either on the chat or just you can unmute and just mention. So that means I think we are okay for tonight. Yeah, if you are okay, maybe you can give me a thumbs up.
Bernard Joseph, I was probably, I don't know if it's a suggestion or an observation. Because like today's topic is really intense, and there may be some of us in the group who have gone ahead and certain experiences. I don't know if there are forums where experiences, so that as we grow together, we're also learning from one another. Because I could be taking something home, but on my own, I am one candle, but when I have an turn up my candle.
Yeah, James, I get you clear in terms of experience, and we'll be bringing, like, from next week, there will be other facilitators who will be coming on board. And I think for level 1, in most cases, we just try to create a base. And then as we upscale to level 2, we'll be able now to get into more interactions and also to be able to share our own personal experience. And also the facilitators will also be able to share their own personal experience. So I take note of that.
I hear you, I get.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for the comment also. So any other comment, leaders? If you are good, you can just probably indicate a thumbs up, and I'll be able to note and maybe just pause for tonight. Yeah, thank you, Lucy, Reverend Kyoko, you're saying you're good. And thank you. And I hope you have now been able to catch up. And Kibiro.
I'm trying.
Yeah, thank you, Anne, for resilience and just coming up and fitting into the group that fast.
Thank you.
Yeah, so leaders, I'll request that we unmute, and then we'll be able to share the words of grace as we close, as I continue to appreciate you and say thank you so much for tonight. So let's just unmute, and may the grace
Of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now
and forevermore.
forevermore. Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much, and God bless you. Have a blessed night.
Bless
God
you.
bless you. Thank you.